We are in the pregame show, folks. The pregame show is going to be short today.
Short every day lately.
Yeah, but we're now going live on Facebook. Hello to Facebook. We are going live on Twitter, where we are categorizing the show as lifestyle / fashion, travel.
Is
and
that
wellness.
what you select?
I select.
That's never what I select.
I select a different one every day.
You're so. You're such a rebel, then.
I think from now on, Kate and Scott, we should announce what we're categorizing as.
Yeah, I agree. Today is a lifestyle day on the Lieu of Fun.
Well, I mean, actually, that does raise an interesting issue, which is that I would like to bring a cheesemaker on to help make.
Wait! That's got to be part of the show, dude.
Okay.
Wait,
We'll talk.
Wait till we could. Before you get to
I'm
the
cleaning my
serious
desk while we're. I'm
let's-
cleaning my desk.
We gotta
we do.
click the blue go live button here. This was a short but excellent pregame show. I just want to say.
Did I tell you that the Atlantic has had a data breach and lost all of my author Anyway, sorry.
And we're live. It was, as Kate talking about the loss of her data by the Atlantic. It is Saturday, 5:03 p.m., June 5th, 2021, and I am covered in a combination of sawdust and resin dust and flecks, which cannot be good for your lungs. But I was outside and I was planing stuff, and I am almost done planing, and Scott and Kate are going to be super impressed with how the table surface looks. It was hot, I was sweating, and now the sweat is sticking to the little bits of dust and preventing me from sort of entirely wiping them off, which is a long-winded way of saying that. Also, there's about 1 million decibels of cicada noise outside. I think
I can hear them.
I can really.
I've been there all
actually.
the time.
I also feel like your forehead is a bit covered in resin. It looks great, by the way. I love the color you picked.
By the way,
I know a lot of women who pay a lot of money for that.
Windows closed. If I opened the windows, you guys would be shocked at how loud it is.
Could you open it just because I'm really curious? Because I actually
sure.
I can hear it.
Oh wow! Can you hear that? It sounds like one of those rain sticks.
Wow, that's exactly what it sounds like, right?
Doesn't it?
That is crazy. It's like white noise, right? It's just constant white noise.
Well, it's not that. I mean, it's white noise
sounds...
turned the volume. It is super, super loud, and they are. The birds are flying through the air, plucking them out of the sky as they go.
Have you seen drunk birds yet? Birds?
Oh yeah, no. It is seriously post-apocalyptic out there. I was out at the dog park today, and there was a tree with the ground around which was entirely exoskeletons, just piled high. It was like like that scene from Terminator where the tanks roll.
I
over
want
the
to come to see this.
am
very excited by this.
Ben, in all seriousness, you should take a picture of it, and that should be the exoskeleton for tomorrow. The exoskeleton for the day.
The
good morning
exoskeleton.
Good morning images. Just a field of cicada exoskeletons. Okay, I will do that tomorrow. I will get them. All of which is to say that whether you are a cicada or me, you are not allowed to have fun anymore. But if you're a bird, man, you are back. All right, it's Saturday, so it's just us. And Scott has a very important planning announcement for the show regarding his plans for the show this week.
Okay, but before I do that, can I just say what happened today to me?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah. So first of all, as I'm not sure people can tell, but I'm sweating profusely, and I'm
you just
sweating
run
profusely.
to
We
get
are
yours?
all going to be talking about
We're
perspiration
all gonna.
today.
I
the way.
noticed.
Right.
I didn't want to
yeah,
say anything because I'm really polite.
Can you see beads of sweat? I mean,
No, we really can't.
No,
Actually,
okay,
it looks
okay.
pretty normal.
Okay.
But
For
it's
me,
good that
right.
you shared it with us.
Right. So, so here's the thing. So I used to be a runner, and then I had a very I had a very congenital back thing, and then for a while I couldn't walk. So there was a good 4 or 5 years that I couldn't walk.
Wow.
So I would
when
get
did that
yeah.
happen? I didn't
This
know
was-
that. That's crazy.
Yeah, it was really bad. I could only get around on bicycle, and it was a very bad. My heart goes out to all people who have back pain, but I had very severe back pain, and so then I had back surgery, lumbar fusion, and it was incredibly successful. But I couldn't run anymore, and I love to run, and I especially love to run when it's hot out. And so then I had this idea that when you run uphill, there's no impact. So I went to Central Park today, and I went to 110th Street, and I would run only up the hills, and I would walk down the hills. And I was listening to music, and I have this thing, it was apropos of our group chat yesterday about percussion. I had this thing where I kind of count out beats and trying to get the rhythm of various songs, because I'm an idiot. And so I was walking, and I was like, there was a syncopated rhythm, and I was trying to get it right, and I was like thinking to myself, this is New York. You can do anything. Who's going to see you? So I'm going, while running and doing that, because you could run naked in New York, no one would care. And then, of course, my colleague came up to me and said, "Hey, Scott." And I said, "Oh my God, did you see me do that?" He goes, "Yeah." I said, "Did I look really weird?" He goes, "Really weird." So I looked really, really weird. So
I want to tell you a story about walking in New York looking really weird in the 1970s, because it still.
Okay, then I get to tell my story.
This story still hangs on the wall of my mother's, and the audience, of course, knows my mother's office at Statistics Collaborative. So when my mother and when we first lived in New York when I was a child, my father worked at Sloan Kettering, which he later ran, and my mother was a professor at Hunter College, where she taught math, and they were more or less right across the street from one another on the East Side, and we lived on the Upper West Side back before it was cool. And now it's so gentrified as to be uncool.
Can you tell me where you used to live? What street?
We lived on 87th Street between Amsterdam and Columbus. We had a brownstone. The brownstone is now worth more than our, than the sum of the collective wealth of the In Lieu of Fun audience. We don't own it anymore. So we moved to Washington when I was 13, and back then the Upper West Side was pretty raw at the level of I found a dead body on the way to school once.
Wait, are you fucking kidding me?
Did I make that up?
Actually, you did? A dead human body?
Yeah.
Not a cicada body?
Okay. A human body. And
Oh
by
my
the way,
gosh.
it was lying right outside the school, and the reaction of the school was they didn't bring in grief counselors for us. They were like, "Is anybody upset by that? Does anybody want to talk about it?" And then we just went on with the day. 1977 in New York City, people. It was beautiful, or maybe it was 81 or something. Anyway, my father was coming home. Used to like to walk across the park from Sloan Kettering to the house. And one day he's outside of what was then Hunter College, and he finds somebody has thrown out one of those giant slide rules, those 6-foot-long slide rules that you used to hang in the front of classes to do math calculations on back before the days, so you could show how to use your slide rule to take the square root of or the log of a large number, etc. And of course, we have no need for slide rules at all anymore, let alone demonstration hanging slide rules. So somebody had thrown one out. And my dad, being an eccentric fellow, decided it was a shame to waste a perfectly good demonstration slide rule. So he picked it up and decided to carry it home, which he proceeded to do. Now that's a relatively
totally something I would do.
Long walk from 68th Street on the near the river on the east side.
Right, carrying a 6 foot slide rule.
It's also a sort of significant it's a demonstrative exercise. I would say a little bit weirder than what Scott did. And my dad describes nobody even glancing at him as he is walking. I mean, he must have been in pretty good shape to carry it across the park. But he carried it home, and we still have it. It's got to be the only demonstration slide left in the world, and it is hanging on
I would
the wall.
love to see that. That's
I'll take a picture. It's at my mother's office at Statistics Collaborative. It
that's
hangs
awesome.
on the wall exactly as a demonstration slide rule is meant to. And if anybody needs a demonstration of how to use a slide rule, the problem will not be the absence of the slide rule. It will be the absence of people who know how to use it to do the demonstration. Anyway, that's my story of walking weird in New York.
Mine is like a combination of both of your stories. I was running in Brooklyn
with a demonstration
slide rule. That's the story. I know. No, I was running in Brooklyn. This must have been it was right before I kind of went on the market. I think that I was on the market. I remember because I went through a phase of trying to run to work out the stress of being on the job market. And so I was going for regular runs, and I was running through kind of this the Gowanus is this warehousey area, and it's not very populated, and it's super kind of industrial. And I was running through that, and I was kind of on the edge of that area and a bougie neighborhood. And okay, this is just a classic Kate story. None of this is going to be weird to anyone who watches this show. And I see a wounded baby squirrel in the middle of the street. And,
this is such a Kate story.
I know. And it's a wounded gray squirrel. And it's a baby, and it is just lost in the middle of the street, and it's kind of gonna get hit by a car.
In this story?
No, I just so I stop running, and I'm dripping in sweat. And
we got sweat in. We've all three of us have now schwitzed on the show.
And I'm oh, this baby squirrel, and people. There's not really many people around. I'm pretty isolated. I was oh, okay. I'm listening to Beastie Boys and my I remember it so perfectly in my headphones, and I've got I'm okay. And someone had thrown out this wicker basket type thing with that was just on the street, is in the way that there is just garbage and abandoned stuff on the street in New York. So I kind of scoop this baby squirrel into this wicker basket, and I start carrying it home, and I'm trying to still do my run, and I'm running, half running with this basket squirrel. I'm no one could possibly see me, and as I'm doing this, the baby squirrel is climbing around very slowly and gently in the basket, and is falls out, and then I have to start scooping it up again, and I'm chasing it across the sidewalk, trying to scoop it into this abandoned basket, and only in I should mention that I wasn't wearing. I was in a sports bra and running shorts, and that was it. And I'm oh, this is this is embarrassing, but who will ever see me? And literally walking out of his house is one of the foremost scholars on AI and robotics, and he comes out of his house and is Kate Klonick, and I'm oh, hi. I was hi, Peter, so nice to see you. And he was what are you doing? And I was and he was We should get a whiskey sometime. I'm like, yes, we should. Goodbye.
This was like a Kate Klonick Mad Lib.
Yeah, we gotta hear the end state though of all of these stories. What happened to the baby squirrel?
Oh, that's actually kind of good. I brought it home. I started to feed it, and it regained strength very quickly and became rather aggressive. And I had to this is so terrible. I had to catch a flight that night out to go to a job talk, and it was like I had to leave the house at 9, and I left it with like something heavy on the basket in the shower, and it was like, John, when you get home from work, you might see a baby squirrel.
Things we leave in notes for our partners.
I know. John put it outside, and we never know what happened to it, but he got actually very upset after that and was like, no more baby squirrels. Hard no on more baby squirrels in an apartment. Absolutely not. So that was the end of that. So this is a different baby squirrel, Dan Welch. This was the second baby squirrel.
So before we go on, I just want to say that thanks to Helena, who has located a picture of the exact slide rule in question. Let me share the link. This is my mom's company.
Oh my God!
It turns out.
Did she have a picture of it?
Yeah, it turns out it's on the.
Oh my God! It's on the website. Oh my God! That is really heavy looking.
Yeah, it's big.
It also looks like it's made out of hardwood or something. Cool.
First of all, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
And number
two, that's why he brought it home.
Yeah, it's actually really beautiful, and I really see why your dad did it. That's not an eccentric thing. That's like a really cool thing, and I'm very jealous. That's beautiful.
This was, I was probably 7 or 8 when it showed up in the house, which means this was in the 70s. I was old enough to still remember him walking through the door with the giant slide rule. And he had no idea what we were going to do with it. We never hung it up it never got hung up until my mom started her company. So it just like lived in whatever storage area we had. And I think he imagined it as like a coffee table or something, except that, that would require somebody who knew how to make
eBay
lights.
values a demonstrative side rule of that size at $850.
Yeah, well, in 1978 or whenever it was, New York City valued it as garbage. And it was awaiting transport, proving that the thing you think may someday become a collector's item almost certainly will. Which brings us to Mr. Ducks with Pants, who literally has no idea why he is on the show right now, but I am using him as the inaugural example of what I hope will become a Just Us Saturday tradition, which is Meet the Greek Chorus member. We've
done things like this before.
We have.
Hi, Ducks with Pants.
But we've done. We have always done it in the context of something deliberative, whereas here it is very impulsive and relates to some interactions that Mr. Is it Ducks or Mr. Pants? Which is the last name?
Technically speaking, Ducks with Pants
like
is
Van or Vaughn. I.e., should we call you with Pants?
Ducks with Pants is the band. I am merely a member, the sole member of Ducks with Pants, but I am EG Phillips of Ducks with Pants. So
we should call you Mr. Phillips.
Mr. Phillips of Ducks with Pants.
Do you go by EG or E or
EG? For performance purposes, yeah. EG Phillips is how I sign the checks and is what's on the business cards. So,
all right. So I brought you on because EG Phillips has spent first of all is the only person on Twitter who has correctly identified a sequence of good morning images, which are not the strewn fields of cicada bodies, although that will be tomorrow, not tomorrow, but Monday's good morning image. But correctly identified from the time that I first started tweeting images of sculptures in the sculpture garden in Minneapolis. And so, like, he had it pegged as the sculpture garden. There were a bunch of you who had it pegged at the campus sculpture garden at Chicago. Yes, you've caught me. I'm a sucker for sculpture gardens. I tend to go for walks in them, tend to take a lot of pictures for the Good Morning image. But this raised the question of, actually, other than a member of the mythical band Ducks with Pants, who the fuck is E.G. Phillips that he knows the sculpture garden in Minneapolis? And it made me think we should bring him on for a little who the heck is E.G. Phillips conversation. In reality, we know the mythical persona, but we don't know who you actually are. So I thought, it's a part of a get to know you session instead of planning the show, because I'm really kind of dreading planning the show.
Why?
I don't know, because I just don't feel like doing any work right now. We would inaugurate the get to know the Greek chorus kind of thing. So who the heck are you? And are you in Minneapolis?
No, I haven't been in Minneapolis for over 20 years. I made my escape in the late 90s and am now in the Bay Area up in San Francisco. But I did go to school in Minneapolis. Actually, it started in St. Paul and then went across the river to Minneapolis. And I was there the year the Walker Sculpture Art Garden opened. It was actually an assignment from my human geography professor to go check it out. So I am very familiar with that particular place, although I believe some of these sculptures that you've been posting are new since I've been there. The Cherry Spoon Bridge is the longtime resident that I remember.
Yeah, so the Cherry Spoon Bridge is famous, and a lot of people identified that. But you got it on the first image, which was not a particularly iconic sculpture garden image. It was just a figure, a figure of a person who I thought looked a lot. It's actually supposed to be not Herodotus, not Heracles, but the Greek god of the forge, whose name is escaping me for a moment.
Hephaestus.
Hephaestus, thank you. You got the H-E thing going, married to Aphrodite. She cheats on him. And in this particular sculpture, looks remarkably like Donald Trump. And I posted a picture of Hephaestus looking a lot like Donald Trump. And everybody else, like all of Twitter, like all of it, hundreds and hundreds of people.
Can you pull up this tweet, Ben?
Yeah,
so
I'll pull up the tweet. A lot of people tweeted, no, his hands are too small. Which I just want to say is like funny the first time you read it, and is, let's face it,
as is the way with most of people filling out the joke on Twitter.
Yes, I mean, the repetition of the joke like hundreds of times gets a little bit. And exactly one person said, hey, you seem to be sort of rocking the Walker Sculpture Garden. And yes, it was Ducks with Pants. And here is, just so that you all don't think I'm being glib about saying that something resembles Donald Trump. Here is, in fact, the image that I tweeted.
Oh, it does actually kind of look like him.
Actually, kind of looks like Donald Trump, right?
No, it really does, but the hands are too small.
So
I'm sorry. You just I was worried somebody else was going to jump in before me and make that joke.
I mean, I was walking with Alan Rosenstein at the time.
I would like to know. Like, why we don't know that it could be, why this couldn't be both. Like, why couldn't, maybe Donald Trump stole his look from this sculpture.
I mean, look, I was walking with Alan Rosenstein at the time, and Alan looks at this sculpture and says, "Is it just me, or?" And I cut him off and said, "Does that look like Donald Trump?" I mean, it was like not an eccentric Wittes thing. It was like
right down to the ill-fitting suit, I would say.
And also the face of sort of like unwarranted indignation at the circumstance. And so I tweeted this, and only EG Phillips responded, "You must be in the you appear to be in the Walker Sculpture Garden." So I just thought we need to explore the like, what is the EG connection with Minneapolis? So what are you doing in the Bay Area now, other than pretending to be in a band that doesn't exist?
Well, that is the
what the fuck was that? Where did that come from? It's not a band that doesn't exist.
I mean, it's sort of a quantum band. It exists when it does. Sometimes it's more of a marketing concept, and perhaps a way to avoid violating the radius clause of the Lost Church if I want to play more than one show in San Francisco. But
what the hell was that? Also,
I literally did not understand anything of the last 60 seconds.
Okay,
it was like.
All right, we're going to explore the identity of E.G. Phillips and Ducks with Pants, and maybe this will take the rest of the show.
Okay, so first
like,
question.
Here is everything I know about Ducks with Pants.
No, hold on.
Wait, this is Schrodinger's duck.
With pants.
Right, with pants, right. Because, so it's like sometimes it exists and sometimes it doesn't?
Yes, well, I mean, that's the thing that I quickly learned once I formed the band, which was a project that I embarked on rather late in the career as one that does as a musician. And to answer your question, Rev, I don't know when my next performance is, because I don't know when things are really going to open up in San Francisco. Hopefully, I will do a show at the Bazaar Cafe relatively soon. But that all depends upon when they figure out when they're actually opening up.
Is that a cafe that exists, or is it
Bazaar
sort of a
Cafe?
cafe?
No, Bazaar Cafe does indeed exist, and I highly recommend you check it out, especially if you're fond of feta cheese, because they have.
I love feta cheese.
I know you love feta cheese.
Scott knows this from Cheese Night.
Okay, we do have to talk about the planning thing.
No, we're not planning the show today. It's just
why are you cranky?
But except the part where you make your important announcement, which I said you were going to make like 30 minutes ago, and you haven't made yet. We're just going to keep Ducks with Pants here, and
Why? Okay, so I don't know. Did we? I feel like I don't understand anything that's going on. So wait. Why does the duck? I mean, I know. So why Ducks with Pants?
Well, I mean, that's mostly me being whimsical. I mean, being a songwriter, I do have a fondness for words. And the official origin story was I was trying to be clever and just put together two funny-sounding words that were inherently funny-sounding, and seeing what the effect would be if that was, like exponentially funny.
I mean, Duck is less funny than Aardvark.
But more syllable, like Aardvark is more syllables than duck.
Aardvark with pants.
Ducks have the advantage of being rather iconic. There may have been an aspect of me trying to make another singer-songwriter who was sitting at the table with me that particular night laugh, to amuse him and maybe disrupt things at the open mic, because it's a lot of time to kill. So I was taking this concept of Ducks with Pants and illustrating it in various ways to Mr. Sean Cody, a.k.a. Sean Byron. That's how he does business, doing business as. He is actually a lawyer and works in patents, and singer-songwriter by night. And that was actually when we first met. And he has gone on to cover one of my songs, strangely enough. But at that time, it was a nascent relationship, and he was sitting across from me, and I was scribbling in my notebook instead of doing anything particularly useful. I was doing various illustrations of ducks with pants, which led to iconic images such as Sticky Feathers, which was a take on the Rolling Stones cover album Sticky Fingers, but involved
I like
ducks.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sticky Feathers, that's good.
Do you want to write a theme song for In Lieu of Fun that we could open the show with every day?
Sure, I will take a crack at it. Do you have a particular genre in mind?
Anything? No, I mean, I think it's really...
Cheers! Cheers!
We just need some... I think it's the word...
like the Cheers theme song.
Okay.
Chipmunk.
Yeah, it's not exactly a genre, but it definitely gives me a direction
Murder
to
Hornet, Boris Johnson...
Wait, the Cheers...
The Cheers somewhere in it.
The Cheers theme show is not one of the... theme song is not one of the canonical musical groupings. Wait, can I just say something?
Everybody knows your name.
Spotify does have a lot of categories, so perhaps I don't know.
But I want to say that Twitter for live streams does not have enough categories, and I've monologued on this because like I never know every day how to categorize In Lieu of Fun. Today we're going as lifestyle, which is fashion and travel. But we don't really have there's no like daily pandemic relief shit show with multiple subjects for whatever happens to ail you that day.
I'm confused. Did pandemic modify shit, or did shit modify show in that sentence?
No, shit modify show. Look, we can do this again if you want and go through. Whoops. We can. This is now the second day in the row that the YouTube feed.
It's the third. It's cut out a bunch. It cut out while I was in Iceland too. I don't know what's going on.
I think we got to go back to the OG, no automatic anything on the YouTube feed, because I think what's happening is if it gets a momentary interruption,
it stops.
It stops. So YouTube, you're terrible. We're not. It's just bad. We're going with the manual everything on YouTube from now on. Whoever it was in the Greek chorus who suggested that we use the auto start and auto stop, you're canceled.
Whoa, Jinx! We've been doing this too long, Ben.
Yeah,
so really have merged.
Ducks with Pants, you are going to write us a theme song that we can kind of come in and out with?
I will see what I can do. I mean, it'll be interesting to see if we can get, the cadence of Murder Hornets and Chipmunk all fit together.
Yeah, but and the baby cannon destroying the computer. And
that was such a bad day.
Rich vein to mine here in terms of potential.
Scott Shapiro wrecking the whole internet with his breaking the show.
That was an amazing day.
But we will make you a star. I mean, with
we'll make you something.
30 people who
maybe it's just warm feta.
This show.
Oh God.
EG Phillips, I just want to say this is so you are actually not just the founder and member of a fake band. You are actually a professional musician. Is that?
I mean, as professional as one can in this day and age. Oh yeah, no. I mean, you can go find me on Spotify as EG Phillips. I actually publish under Ducks with Pants, only the SoundCloud. Got that honor. But I have a couple albums out. I'm actually working on a project now with a fellow out in Nashville who had worked on my last EP. So it's an interesting process going back and forth, and I'm actually now due to record vocals for that over in the closet probably if I get a chance. And so just working on my NPR Tiny Desk concert and cover of a Talking Heads song. Cool. But yes, professional. I mean, I've had many people cover my songs actually owing to EG Fest, and some have actually gone to record.
Could you cover the Cheers theme song?
I
no, but
probably
then we have to
could,
pay royalties. We get into
Don't you know anything about? No. Okay, you can continue.
Normally I would have a guitar in reach. I'd pull it out and I'd go out onto the interwebs there and just pull up the chords and start banging away on it for you. Unfortunately, the guitar stand is across the room now because I was engaged.
Dude, I see a Telecaster right behind you.
You do see the Telecaster right behind me, but the interface isn't plugged in. All chaos will break loose if I try and deal with that. So I'm going to demure.
Unveil the song, you'll do
here,
right?
Here.
Yes.
just I got one right here. It's all plugged in. Actually, it really is plugged in. Wait. Yeah, I'm all ready.
Cool.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Cool.
Does not help Mr. with pants at all.
So actually, I'm not a professional. I'm not a professional musician, so I think that was my mistake. Sorry.
I only play one occasionally. But yes, I
so what do you actually do for a living?
Well,
these are very nosy questions, Ben.
That's what this segment is about.
I love involuntarily dragging people on live internet TV and then asking them nosy questions. That's a good way to kill our audience, Ben, on Saturdays.
And to call their band fake.
I know.
The band
the band is not fake.
That is, well, I mean, that's how I describe it. So yes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just being faithful to the original understanding.
That is straight from the marketing copy.
So EG, when you do a show, do you ever do a CEG show?
Holy shit, that's good.
Right?
CEG.
That's a lot. That's a. That's really.
But it'd be really good. EG Phillips should be your first album.
In the faculty 15. Lounge, that way.
I was considering calling the first album the EG EP, but then it became a full album, and so it ended up being called "Fish from the Sky" in reference to the infamous Fish song. Hopefully,
this is pretty excellent. Wait.
Yeah.
Yes. I don't know. Ben's talking at a rapid pace with a lot of verve, and he's muted.
I was just going to say we're going to submit the integrity or nastiness of this new feature to the audience in a poll.
What could possibly go wrong? Nothing has ever happened poorly because of referendum voting.
All right, here the question is, what do you think of this new involuntary interview of audience members feature? Possible answers: 1, it's freaking awesome, bring it on. Possible answer 2, it's too intrusive, don't do it again. And possibility 3, is undecided. So I just want to say to the people who are undecided, you're terrible people. Take a stand, people.
By the way, I'm you can continue the show. I'll be monitoring here at the decision desk, but I will say.
Where's your hologram, Wolf? I don't.
Wolf here is not ready to make a call.
No, they're off on the side. We only have 3 people here today because it's Saturday. They're calling it. Actually, they're calling it for freaking awesome. I mean,
yeah. Well, freaking awesome is now winning with 80% of the vote. I
maintain my stance on referendum voting. So.
EG Phillips, you're a great American. We will be back next Saturday with another edition of Just Us and a randomly selected or not so randomly selected.
Wait, no, we're not doing. Oh, next Saturday. Oh, I think.
Yeah, next Saturday. This feature will be back. It's passed with 80% of the vote, and we will. And you're going to write us a song, a theme song for In Lieu of Fun.
First commission, even.
Yeah, and, it's going to get covered by everybody.
I'll pay you in
and,
pennies.
And it'll be, you know.
Well, you think you're Spotify now, do you?
Ducks,
Yeah, I'm glad you got my joke.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Ducks with Pants, even though he calls himself EG Phillips. Scott, you have an announcement about cheese.
Yes, I do, but I just want to say one thing.
Notice how Scott is like refusing to answer. Like,
no, I do.
He'll get there.
He said before we get on the show, I really have to make this. Save it for the show, and he's like doing everything he can not to make his cheese announcement.
Okay, don't ruin it. You're stepping all over it. So I just said he's got this guy. This guy's got like ice water in his veins. He's very unflappable.
He's a cool cucumber.
I was confident he would be able to hack the inaugural edition of the Involuntary Interview the Audience show. I'm a little bit worried about the first time we get somebody who's like not the best sport about it, or you know. And
you're gonna make someone cry, Ben.
Yeah, well, that's the gold standard. I mean, if we can reduce a randomly selected audience member to tears, that'll be the day that we'll just be like, all right, our work on this planet is done.
Can I show you a cool rock that I found in Iceland?
Yeah, did you rescue it?
Yes. But I was running, and then I found this rock, and I stopped running, and it's a pencil holder that nature made, and I can just beautiful. I can just stick pencils in it like that. But isn't that kind of cool?
But does it stand
It's really
up?
Cool.
Yes, it does stand up like that.
That's pretty cool.
Isn't that kind of neat?
Lies down.
Yes.
That's all I want. That's all I got. I just thought it was cool.
Ben, you said I have an announcement to make. Please let me make it.
Scott has an announcement. Notice that he set me up to interrupt him.
You're right.
Get a drink.
And then accused me of interrupting him. God. Scott has an announcement to make.
But I want to go back to EG Phillips. No. Where did Kate go? Because this involves Kate. Okay.
You know, when Kate gets up in the middle of the show, you just have to roll with it.
Okay. So I just want to say. Kate and I, for I don't know how many years, maybe 8, 9, 10, maybe 10 years, we've been having cheese night.
Yeah.
Every Friday.
Right. Every Friday. And I feel like it was really fun when we did it on the show the last time when I made mozzarella and you made your feta surprise.
Whatever.
What's it?
Like 3 people have.
I still haven't gotten an answer to why Scott doesn't make his own curds when he makes mozzarella.
Well, that's the thing.
I think that's not how he learned about mozzarella.
Well, I didn't. It is true that I'm not making it from scratch. I didn't milk the cow. I didn't do lots of things. I did buy the curds, but I want to invite a cheesemaker on the show, maybe to make feta, maybe to make some goat's cheese, and we could all make cheese together.
I would love that.
I think that's the best idea
we've had in a long time.
We've had in a long time since
Kate
had the
that's
idea
great.
Of having a live hornet's nest or bees hive.
Bees hive? What?
I had like 8 bees hives like on and like in
live.
Live, and like a guy like was just standing amidst like a swarm of bees while he was like doing like the show for like an hour. It was kind of crazy.
Yeah. But
he's also a Wall Street Journal reporter, so that was kind of funny. But I would say morel hunting was pretty high up there. I loved that episode.
Right, yeah. But unlike morel hunting, I really would like to make real cheese rather than fake cheese. Because we did find fake morels.
Can we fill it with ants after we're done with it?
So
cicadas.
Do you know any cheesemakers?
Of course I know cheese. What kind of question is that? Of course I know many cheesemakers.
Okay, book one on the show.
Okay. Done. Okay.
What about if we made ricotta? I've always like wanted to make my own ricotta.
That'd be a perfect. Do you know what ricotta means?
cottage.
Ricotta. It's twice baked.
Oh.
Ricotta.
Oh, that makes sense, actually, given how you make ricotta. That would be cool. Okay, cool.
But I think this is a great idea.
Okay, great.
But I don't know any cheesemakers.
But Scott,
That's so funny. You can't honestly mean that, Ben.
I do honestly mean that because I'm an urban person who my idea of morel hunting is going to the Whole Foods.
Oh right. Oh, yeah, that's
yeah?
right.
As you
wait,
learned
you
in
guys
my
have a whole
PowerPoint.
bit worked out. Something suspicious here. Ben, were you instructed?
No.
This is completely improvisational. We have
Yeah,
not planned this at all. Check your cue cards, Scott.
Yeah. Okay. No. It's not on the cue.
Nothing planned.
No, it's not. And the thing is, it's a shame because one of the people who helps me on the decision desk also holds the cue cards on Saturday, and it's just not there. But that's great. I will get on that. The big problem will be choosing which of the people I know will be on the show to make the cheese, and number 2, which cheese. I think we may go with ricotta first.
Yeah, so Ruth Anna Stalk raises an interesting question in the Greek chorus, which is whether there's a way to 3D print ricotta.
Oh, I bet there is, but we're going to do it the old-fashioned way, right? But I think we'll plan on it maybe Friday because that's traditionally cheese night.
Cheese night,
yeah.
That's great. Okay, I will put it in our calendar right now, guys. We have okay, I know you don't want to plan the show, Ben, but we're going to have 5 seconds to plan the show. It's not that bad. Also, you don't have to do any work. I think that we can pretty much... I'm back from vacation. Things are, like, back to kind of being semi-normal. I've already booked... we already have Tuesday and Wednesday booked.
And Friday, apparently.
And Friday. So we just need to do Monday and Sunday. And so I just want... Deirdre's coming on tomorrow. And we only have to do Monday. And do you have a... So you're doing Friday... and the cheese night, Scott. But what do we think? Remember the woman in my lamb video, or that was in my the host, that turns out to actually have been on Iceland's The Voice and have a nice set of pipes and does all this stuff. She has agreed to come on. We could do her on Thursday or something.
That.
Okay.
Yeah.
Icelandic music night traditionally precedes cheese night.
I know. I don't know. Well, yes. I don't know that it's Icelandic
cheese
movement.
night is Tuesday is Icelandic music in traditional in lieu of fun.
Yes. Yes. What days am I on? Sorry, I
Are
lost my
we going to
calendar.
birth lambs live on in lieu of fun while she's
No.
singing?
No.
I really do like. I like the idea of I know this won't work, but in my fantasy that we have The Voice in lieu of fun, where some people come on, they sing, and then we rate them. I like that. I'm not sure
Wait,
that will
Are you going to
work.
be which one of us is going to be the Stephen Cowell or the jerk?
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm not going to be the jerk.
That's
Ben?
not me. Ben.
Yeah, Ben.
No.
Tell them that their band is fake, and then yell at them.
Ducks with Pants. Go to the Ducks with Pants website. It advertises itself as a fake band.
Okay.
I did not make up that.
Ben, as we learned on the slurs during Slurs Week, is that he can say it's a fake band. You can't say it's a fake band.
All right. I want to apologize to all the fake members in lieu of the official fake band of In Lieu of Fun, Ducks with Pants, and especially to Mr. Phillips on behalf of the Walker Sculpture Garden, please accept my humblest apologies, as Steve Martin would say.
I am happy to fill out the rest of the week with guests. I think I'm feeling, and then I'm also planning Kate Week, so that's slowly coming into fruition.
Wait, did you say? I'm sorry, you said Kate Week? What's Kate Week?
There's Kate Week is Kate Shaw of Cardozo. Kate Crawford of Microsoft and her new book on AI. Kate Darling and her new book on AI and robotics and animals. Kate Gage of the Movement Cooperative, and Kate Levine, also of Cardozo Law School, all coming on in the same week.
Fantastic. That's just that sounds like an amazing week.
Okay, so
and not a scheduling nightmare at all.
I just want to say I want to read duckswithpants.com/about, which reads, EG Phillips is a San Francisco-based songwriter who creates lyric-driven songs with his own special blend of whimsy and cinematic imagery, which he uses to give a wry take on dealing with the longings of the heart and the madness of existence. Ducks with Pants is the name of his fake band.
That's pretty straightforward, I would say. There's not not a lot of wiggle room there.
Yeah,
you're a little redeemed, Ben, I would say.
Yeah, I have to say, I was a bit shocked initially when you said that, but now that you read it, I just think.
I mean, it's like I think I'm going to really rely on the distinction between use and reference here.
Yeah, right. So it's a fake band. Okay.
Yeah.
So
it's a self-described fake band.
Yeah. The thing is also like Trump really ruined the word fake. Also, it just like if you call something fake, it just sounds like it's real. You're just pretending it's not. I guess maybe I just reacted against that. But I apologize, Ben. Actually, I feel like mine was a fake. I was saying mine was a fake criticism, but it was actually a real criticism. So I'm sorry.
Everybody is forgiven. I mean, I'll of course exact revenge in 1,000 ways, but my public presentation, all is forgiven. All right, we've got 6 minutes left. It's time to bring in some members of the audience.
You don't want to look at some more rocks that I found?
We do. Kate is going to show rocks while we bring in.
You think I'm joking, but I got you. So, Scott, I don't think you were here. I got you guys fresh earth rocks from the volcano.
Oh, wow.
And they're super cool.
That's gorgeous.
It's actually really cool. Look, it looks like icing or something. It's like kind of frozen in place. And then the other side
it's beautiful.
It's kind of really super cool. I got you guys some earth rocks. Hi, David.
It's David, Bots, and a black rectangle named Jared. As the black rectangle appeared first, I think, David, we're going to Alice you for a while. Everybody's getting Alice today. No one's getting minimized. And Stephen Buonapane is also going to be Alice.
Hi, Stephen.
Everybody's just going to sit there while people ask their questions.
Nice NASA shirt.
Jared has
what is it actually? It's not
NASA.
This. Nice.
So the floor is yours, Jared.
Hey, Ben. Which question?
Oh,
it's
nice.
A slide rule. Yeah. Whichever one you like.
Okay. So I guess a question for Kate. So I was curious if you had thoughts on the Facebook decision about Trump, specifically that they didn't commit to reinstating him at any particular time. They just sort of said, we'll reevaluate in 2023. So I was curious what you thought about this sort of indeterminate punishment idea.
Yeah, I mean, they were forced to kind of create a determinate punishment in part by what the oversight board asked of them to kind of then model a proportionality question. I don't know why they picked 2 years. I don't know what, like, oh, okay, like, literally, I know someone who, like, posted, like, one tit on Facebook while she was breastfeeding her child and was, like, permanently banned from the site for, like, and then, but apparently, like, supporting insurrection of, like, an entire, is, like, a 2-year punishment. But, that being said...
It's insurrection with no tits.
I know, no tits.
It's they're being totally consistent.
No, so I think that this is, I think that there was, I think it's the first step in a long step of, like, fixing a bunch of problems. I've been writing about this, I was specifically writing about, like, 2013, a bunch of people walked out of Facebook that had been in charge of basically not accepting a newsworthiness or a public figure type standard, and then in 2013 it became the standard and those employees quit, and, like, that was the pivot from there on out, and people have been telling them since then that this was never going to work as a long-term, like, kind of way of going about doing content moderation. But, like, you know, when you're the police, you like loosey-goosey subjective standards because it means you can, like, enforce them to your discretion. And when for a long time there was not a lot of, like, shit raining down on them about this, it wasn't that big a deal. And increasingly it was a really big deal, and now they're starting to change their whole policy. I thought that in particular the Trump thing is just, like, the Trump specific decision is just, like, kind of like garbage filler. Like, I thought it was the headline that people wanted to know, but all of the rest of the stuff that happened out of that report is going to be much more significant in terms of thinking about online speech and kind of the power of the oversight board than anything else, specifically the Trump decision.
David Botts, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you. So in celebration of summer, this is a picture of my porch.
It's so lovely. I've seen it before. I remember it before. You used to use this all the time.
I used to use it before I got, a little more creative. So
yeah, I love it. It's beautiful.
Thank you. So, Professor Kate, another moderation question for you.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It appears that Ms. Naomi Wolf has been banned from Twitter.
Lady be crazy.
How would you compare and contrast content moderation policies between Facebook now and Twitter, now that, in fact, arguably, the Facebook Oversight Board has motivated Facebook to provide a little more clarity? They now have a multi-step process and different sentences for different infractions.
Yeah, so in, like, 1992, David Post wrote about this idea of kind of markets for rules, or, like, that was, like, predicted that was going to be, like, what was going to happen with cyber law. And a lot of people have moved away from that libertarian theory, and I don't think what's happening now is a direct map on to kind of, like, the world he predicted, but I do think it is, like, kind of that idea. And that's what you're kind of talking about, David, which is, like, this idea that you have one really thick, descriptive, kind of transparent take on what exactly is happening that Facebook is starting to provide, and it puts pressure on other platforms to create the same thing, or to give that type, or to provide some level or some nuance to what their governance model is internally, so that others are, like, so that they're basically going to get pressure into that, or that they don't and they remain because they're actually a pretty small user base, and not particularly diversified as a platform, that they are going to remain as, like, some type of, like, like, we can ban who we want to do what we want, and that's just their market. And so, but that's still a marketplace for rules. So basically, I think that that's kind of what you're going to see. The Naomi Wolf thing in particular is, like, a great example. I don't know if you guys remember this, but do you remember her last book and, like, the kerfuffle around it? It was, like, literally, like, some type of, like, academic's nightmare, or, like, an author's nightmare, which was, like, she was in a BBC, I think, interview, or an interview with somebody, and they were, like, she was talking about her book, which was all about basically how people who were gay or were kind of, like, queer or, like, in some way, like, other identified were put to death. And there was some, I forget what the terminology was that she had used, and going back through all of these records of, like, who had been sentenced to death. And the post was like, we actually did this, like, we talked to a number of people, and you think that this word means that they were terminated, like they were killed, but it actually means they were released. And that is like the historical term in these documents for release, not being murdered, like by the state. And she just had no response. And like they published the whole book, despite the fact that that's not you pivot from that and you can still come back to your thesis. That is your thesis. Like, that is like a complete craziness. She has, I don't know anything about her or what happened with Twitter. I know she's been like putting crazy stuff out on Twitter, but generally speaking, she is a great example of like how fake news is everywhere, even in the publishing realm, and even in like, and that like there are gatekeepers all over the place. And like, these publishers still went ahead and published her crazy book with some, like, they slapped some new forward on it, and like they still published it. And like, no one is like burning down Penguin or whoever published her book because of publishing fake news. Did they, Scott?
Yeah, I think it's OUP, Oxford University Press published it. It was her dissertation.
It was a UP.
Yeah. Let's look it up. But yeah, I mean, you gave a great description of it, and it was an academic.
It was just one. It was a horror story.
Yeah, but the thing is, it was her dissertation, and the thing is, she did this historical dissertation though in like the English department.
Oh, that's right, she did, and she like, and this was, she only published it now, but she went back and like resuscitated like her dissertation, right? This wasn't like, this was recently,
right? It's called right. Yeah, right. So it was a dissertation, outrage of censorship and the criminalization of love. See, the way as an academic, I can tell you that the way you avoid things like that is that you give your research to somebody who knows something. And that is
literally, like, I have a compulsion around passing my work around because I'm so scared of something like this happening.
Because that's how knowledge production works. That is, you go to somebody who knows maybe as much as you or more than you, and you say, I got this, does this make sense? And I'm obsessive with it. Like I'm constantly trying to vet my work, because again, because
I think you're being ridiculous. This whole like idea of knowing what you're talking about is really overrated. The much more important thing is to have a big idea, and that's
get paid $500,000 for it.
The field, and that's what's important. And you're at the Yale Law School; you should know that. I don't know how you got this far in life without understanding that the big idea doesn't have to be correct. It mainly has to be big.
No, but it was Houghton Mifflin, Scott. It wasn't an AUP. It was like a trade press. No.
Okay.
Academia is hereby redeemed and vindicated. Stephen Buonapane, we've got like -4 more minutes and 2 more questions. So let's see your slide rule.
It's actually my father's slide rule. I have no idea how to use it.
It's beautiful.
My question was about if anyone had any comments on the California judge striking down the assault weapons ban, and is there any sensible path to gun legislation? Perhaps we need to have a whole show on this.
Actually, the answer to your question is simple. There is, under current Supreme Court doctrine, no path to reasonable gun legislation.
Yep.
The Supreme Court doctrine under Heller, whether it's right as a historical and constitutional matter or wrong as a constitutional matter, has meaning and consequences, and it is for better or worse in life, and I certainly think for worse, the great legacy of Justice Scalia in constitutional law, that substantive legacy as opposed to methodological, and under it there will be you can pick around the edges, and maybe assault weapon ban can stand and maybe they can't, but you're not going to get serious gun legislation. You might get creative ways to reduce gun presence by other means, but until you have a different Supreme Court that understands the Second Amendment differently, you're not going to have a sea change in that regard. Do either of you disagree with that?
I don't. I didn't read the opinion.
It's
so
nothing. You don't really need to know tons more than I. Yes, Ben, I think you're incredibly correct.
Yeah.
They're the federal court was the California judge was completely he's just. I think he's just following existing opinion. I don't think it was particularly I don't think it was surprising. It's just it's the first step of a long story. Let's put it that way.
Richard
Right?
Wattenbarger, you get the last question today.
All right. Well, this dovetails with what we were just talking about. It's kind of frustrating for me to for a lot of people watching all these Supreme Court decisions coming out at this time of the year, and having the sense that these things are sort of that they're coming out of the blue, perhaps. So I guess my question is there a broad consensus among the justices regarding basic questions like constitutional interpretation, on anything having to do with constitutional interpretation, and also on what the Constitution is? Because it seems that, because if there's not, it's kind of very scary just to see come off thinking it's that a lot of the majority decisions are that from the conservative side are just kind of a power play.
I want to say that the picture's a little less dire than that, honestly.
I don't know. I disagree.
I think there are areas where the difference is simply a matter of power. And you have two competing visions, one of which has 5 or 6 votes, the other of which doesn't. But there are broad areas of the law where, the majority of cases are still resolved on a unanimous basis, and the areas where liberal judges and conservative judges decide cases differently are relatively confined to a number of areas that you can all identify in sort of 5 or 8 sentences. And the body of American law does not develop on a 5-4 basis or a 6-3 basis. It develops on an 8-1 or 9-0 basis.
Can I just say one thing? So I feel like there are 2 different issues here. One of them is, Richard, we were saying that there's not consensus about how to interpret the Constitution on the court. I do think there is consensus. There are 6 people who think that it should be read in a certain way, and 3 people who think it should be read in a different way. So I think that there is kind of consensus. Now, you may not like the consequences of the interpretive methodology of the 6 people. I don't, and I actually don't like the interpretive methodology. I don't think it's well grounded. But I think that there is consensus. I will say one other thing, which Richard said, that there's this sense that it's disturbing that there's not consensus about how to interpret the Constitution. And I would say, in some sense, this is the thing you kind of learn in law school, which is that everyone kind of has a different view about it. And then from the philosophy of it, so much of the questions in philosophy of law is, how do we make sense of this disagreement when, in fact, we want there to be some consensus about how to regulate the community. So I mean, we may not like, I personally don't like it, but I do think that more than in my lifetime, I think that there's been a consensus on the court about how to interpret the Constitution.
Well said, Scott.
We're going to leave it there.
Oh, but before that, I just want to apologize. Kate was exactly right. It was Houghton Mifflin. Houghton Mifflin, right?
Yeah, whatever.
HMH. Right, and it was so. It was
sounds
not,
like a muffin, like a hot muffin.
Right. So it was not. It was not a university press. She did her thesis at Oxford University, and the book was her thesis. But I was wrong about that, and so I stand corrected.
We are going to leave it there.
Can we all agree never to have Naomi Wolf on the show?
Naomi Wolf is banned from the show. We have.
Can we take it up? Can we take it up again in 2 years, though?
Yes. We'll revisit it in 2 years if she shows signs between now and then of sanity. We have, however, a minor scheduling snag.
What happened? Can Deirdre not make it tomorrow?
No. Deirdre is scheduled for tomorrow, but you have scheduled Ifioma Ozoma on June 8th,
yep.
which is when Jonathan Rauch's book is being released. And I told him he should come on the show.
Perfect. I can move her. That's fine.
Can we move her?
Yeah, totally. I'll try to move her.
Either Monday or...
She's the incredible woman who does ethical AI and sued Pinterest over their NDA. She's very over for breaking her NDA. So yeah,
gotcha.
It's kind of she's got a cool whistleblower story.
All right, so let's have her on either Monday or...
I will move it.
Okay.
And I'm so excited to see Jonathan on Tuesday. That's so great. I
talk about his new book.
I ordered 4 copies of his book.
We will be back 22 hours and 47 minutes from now with Deirdre Connolly, who will be talking encryption, cyber, Zcash, cybersecurity, cyber cryptocurrencies, and why Nick Weaver is wrong. And until then,
are we gonna let Nick Weaver have a say in this? Can he come on?
Show up if he wants.
Okay.
Just Deirdre showed up
for him. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
I just out of fairness' sake.
No.
Yes.
We totally.
I just want to offer him the opportunity. Yes.
Everybody gets to be wrong and gets to accuse each other of being wrong.
Fake.
Yeah. Scott?
We can't have fun anymore, but we can have involuntary raptures.
Yes.
Of audience members.
And we will.
You guys. Oh man, I'll see you tomorrow.